Hello. We are at our third and final pattern for this little talking point that I have decided to do. will be posting 2 other videos, one of which is on showmanship and the other one on equitation. This is the third one, which is on horsemanship. And the reason these videos kind of are coming about happening is because I showed for quite a while, and when I was on occasions helping, kind of volunteering with other youth that were in my area, I noticed a lot of them struggle quite often with reading and kind of knowing how to do a pattern. And it's something that when I Googled on YouTube, I really didn't find anything. There's a lot of people that will walk you through and like show you on a horse, like, this is how you should pivot, this is how you should do so and so. So there's a lot of that, and that's good, that's fantastic. But there's really no one that kind of just sits down and is like, here's the boring how to read and understand a pattern. And while it might seem boring, there's a lot that can come out of these. And if you saw my other 2 videos, the showmanship is like 15 minutes and the equitation is like 20. So I hope to keep it entertaining. I hope to keep everything, moving at a good clip. And these aren't scripted, know that. These are just kind of me impromptu. If you came up to me at a show and asked me, hey, how do I do this? I have no idea what to do. I would tell you this or explain this. So if you watched the other videos, you saw this too, this wonderful box with the red writing. Ooh. Number one thing when I see a pattern is, what is the judge looking for? And this pattern and the others I got off of the AQHA website. They have ebooks that you can download, and that's where I got these patterns from. What is the judge looking for? And I picked out a pattern that I think is fairly interesting. I think this would be a fun pattern to do. Mostly because there's really only a couple, technical elements that the judge is going to be looking for. And that is straight lines. You notice this pattern doesn't have any circles. It doesn't really, it has these pivots here, but they're 360s. You don't have to do any hip stops. You don't have to, make sure you go past something. You don't have to, it's not that hard, really, in the shape. So you have a straight line, turn, straight line, turn, straight line. It's what you're doing within those straight lines. So since this pattern kind of has an emphasis on being straight, that means that when you're doing your transitions, when you're doing your turns, you need to make sure everything stays straight. And to do that, you need to pick something to look at past where you're going. You don't want to be staring at your horse's ears. So you want to be looking, maybe there's a post, maybe there's a tree, something. A poster, a sign, something. You want to be looking at that when you're going on those straight lines. That'll keep you straight. So, as I mentioned before, the words take precedence over the drawing. And I, in yellow, highlighted when it mentions a location in the pattern. So a couple of you, probably, if you've shown before, saw oh look, there's a cone. And that's it. There's only one cone in this pattern. Which truly, I think, is kind of nice. Because if you have a larger horse, and, if you go to a show with a small arena, or they set up the pattern really small, you're kind of really? You want to adjust this pattern, the size of it, to your horse. If you have a horse that's really big with a big stride, make it a little bigger. If you have a small horse, something really, really broke that can do these in a little bit smaller, tighter of a manner, show it off. So the first thing you're going to do with this pattern is a right lead lope. So, you don't want to start on top of this cone, because you want to be loping at this cone. I would start about a stride back off of this cone. Because realistically, for your horse to just like from a standstill, because it doesn't have you walk or trot into this pattern, it's from a stop. For your horse to like start loping right off the bat from a stop, it's not going to be pretty. It's not. So you want to give your horse a little bit of space to actually start loping. So I would start about a stride, a horse length off the cone, walk 1 or 2 steps, and start loping. You don't have to say hi-ho tinsel and just, yo off like a shot. You want it to be pretty, you want it to be controlled. You want to look like every step of your pattern was planned. So pick up the right lead. At the center, you're going to change leads. Now it doesn't say at the center, it just says change leads. When I saw this, I was a little like, what? Like, okay then. So at the very center of your pattern, you are going to change leads. This pattern is really, the wording is very interesting. It sounds like the wording, whoever wrote it had a off day. So you're going to change leads. You're going to left lead low. So you go from the right to the left. And then you're going to jog center. Now I would just say jog. And I'm pretty sure when it says jog center, it means that you're going to come around this corner. And at the center of the arena, so in the same line is where your lead change was, is where you're going to go from a jog to an extended trot. You're probably saying, well, this is over here. That's not center. What are you talking about? I'm going off of the words. So at center, so along this same line, you're going to pick up a extended jog. This should say jog. We're in horsemanship. And then you're going to come and round this out. So what's the difference between a jog and a extended jog? So you should see a lengthening of stride, but you shouldn't be like, the horse's stride should get bigger. They shouldn't take, that many more steps. Obviously, for a horse that has a really short stride, or for a horse that already has a huge stride, this can be difficult. But you don't want to be, like just going like a crazy bat. You want to just like have a forward jog. And when I was showing and I rode and, had a horse, I would kind of sit a little bit, deeper and kind of push with my hip and kind of, push the horse to lengthen a little bit. Sit kind of, push him out a little bit. But that doesn't mean, crazy fast. We're not in hunt seat right now. We're still in horsemanship. And this also, when you're jogging, a little bit more life than a Western pleasure on the rail jog. We're not trying to put the judges to sleep while we're jogging. So a decent, jog, and then a little bit more excitement, a little bit more to it. Round out your corner. And when you're doing this, look at something over here, have your straight line, make your curve. Now, and I mentioned in both of the other videos, when I'm here, I'm looking over here. I'm not staring over here as I'm making this turn. Because if you do that, your curve is going to just be a big, like loopy kind of meh turn. I want this to be a fairly sharp turn. Because it's more than a 90. It's a fairly sharp turn. So come, look over here. Watch. For your extended, through your turn, This should be consistent. You shouldn't have a little jog while you're turning and then speed up again. Excuse me. This should be the same speed on the straightaway as it is in your turn. Speed, air quotes. Same length of stride, you know. So, this is going to have to be a little bit rounder, a little bit softer of a curve because you're going a little bit more. And so when I'm here, I'm gonna look like over here. And when I'm here, I'm on my line. I'm looking. I found something over here to look at. So, finish your turn. Keep pushing. Keep that pace until you're back to center. And then you stop. So, this probably ages me. Once you get to your turn, you're going to go to the right, to the right, to the right, and then you're going to go to the left, to the left, to the left. Hopefully there's no kicking. So, you'll go right, you'll go left, end up again on this staring at something over here with your turns. Make them a full 360, don't, cut a little bit short off of them. These would be turns on the hindquarter. Horsemanship turns are on the hindquarter. If you're turning to the right, the horse should pivot on the back right. If the horse is turning to the left, it should pivot on the back left. I'm not going to get in how to pivot. There's videos on that. You can go find a local trainer, someone that can help you. I will not get into that right now, but you do your pivots, and then you left lead lope, simple change through a walk, right lead lope, and stop. So, my thing is that this lope here on this little section should be the same speed as this lope here. Now, for the first lead change, it didn't say if it needs to be a simple lead change or a flying lead change. It just says change leads. So that means that you as the rider get to pick. I never had a horse that could do a flying lead change. It takes, a lot of time to get a horse to do a good lead change, and some of them just aren't pretty. They aren't good at doing it. So, for the most part, if you show an open and 4-H shows, just do a simple lead change. A simple lead change, you're going to break to a trot before the center. You're going to have 1-2 trot steps, ideally. You don't want to do just like a half of a trot step and then back up into it. That's not a proper simple lead change. A proper simple lead change has a stride or a little bit more at the trot, which is 2 trot steps. So break to a trot a little bit before, and hopefully at or just after your center, you'll be back on the left lead for a simple change here. If you do a flying, more power to you. I assume you already, know how to do that. Back to what I was meaning before. This slope should be the same speed, same pace as these little sections here. So that means that even though you're covering more ground here, you don't want to be like cruising through this. You want to be consistent. So come out of your turn, walk a step or two. Don't just say hi-ho, tinsel, and fly off the rails. Walk a step or two, set up your lead, ask nicely, get your lead. And, I don't have a ruler or anything, so I can't say exactly. But I would bargain this is about the halfway point, which, center, halfway, has been a pattern in this pattern. So you should have known when you were going here about how many strides that was, what that felt like. So just do half of that. Break down to a walk, ask for the lead, stop. And again, like I mentioned, the equitation, you're even to a walk and then back up, or to a stop out of the canter, or lope here, sorry. It shouldn't be like we're loping and now we're trotting, now we're stopped. No, it should be a lope to a stop. And this can be, difficult, especially for a young horse or someone just starting, or a horse that maybe didn't get a lot of training to begin with, or something that's a little bit out of practice. It can be hard to do. So, practice at home, practice these elements. So, I didn't really mention it in the equitation, but when you are doing a pattern, and practicing a pattern, I don't care if you're at home or if you're at a show, practice the elements. So what I would do if I was at a show, and here's the equitation pattern from last time, is I would start off, do the pattern once, what did I struggle with? And be honest with yourself, be like, okay, well, our lead change was bad, it wasn't great. But this, our normal trot or jog to a extended, that was really great. We don't need to work on that. My pivots today, my pivots are spot on, but our transitions into and out of the lope, not great. Okay, go work on those. Go do something else. Go to the warm-up pen, somewhere else, where there's space, fix those. Come back, do the pattern again. Maybe you're having a tough time with these turns. With these, they're fairly tight, they're not crazy, and depending on how big this is, that changes too. So, see, what you're struggling with. Fix that. If you're memorizing this pattern, there's really nothing crazy. So you really just have to remember that which lead you start on. You change in the center. Make sure you change. You start off slower, build speed. Once you get back to the center, you stop. To the right, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the left. Now, okay. You do your turns to the right first, then to the left. Then just remember, you start on the left lead the second time. First time, it's the right lead. Second time, when you lope off, it's the left lead first. Then it's a simple through the walk this time. And then you pick up the other lead, and you just got to remember to stop at the end. And make sure that you're even here at the end. And that this is even. Basically, it's kind of a big square, a rectangle, So, keep that in mind while you're doing it. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Even though this pattern was technically a little bit more advanced, more to it than this one, it really didn't have that many talking points for me. So, if you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and get to them. Again, I'm not planning on talking about, how to actually train your horse to do things. I'm not a trainer. I just showed for quite a while and found that this was something that I think kind of needs to be out there because people struggle with it. And, it takes practice. It takes time. Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope to maybe do more of these. We'll see. If you guys would like more, let me know. I'll do more. I will gladly do more. If you want me to talk about something else, I can certainly do that too. Just let me know. I'll do my best. Thank you.